all the difference in the world. Hey everybody, thanks for having me up here today. How many minutes do I have, Jared?
65 people. Oh, how many minutes? 30 minutes.
Oh, I have 30 minutes. Well, this will probably take like 10 or 15, but yeah, maybe we'll have questions. So what I'm here to do today is kind of talk to you all a little bit about real estate wholesaling as a backup option for you if you have clients with problem properties. The majority of what I'm talking about is going to be real estate wholesaling, but there are going to be a couple other caveats to this that we'll go through as well. So the goal of this is to unlock more potential, more options for your seller. So we've all experienced the toughness of the Louisiana market lately. North Shore's a lot better than the South Shore in most ways, but there's still struggling properties up here from time to time too, or just your seller has a situation that's unique and complicated, and we have a lot of options to kind of help for those situations. So not every property is fit for market. Some sellers are overwhelmed, upside down, or just ready to walk away, right? So as a real estate professional, our job is to help. And by the way, I know Jared mentioned it, I'm a licensed agent as well. I am an investor as well. I do run this wholesaling operation as well. So my role in the wholesaling operation, Homebuyer Louisiana and Homebuyer Mississippi, is the head of growth and operations. So I'm kind of guiding where we expand and what kind of services we add to our portfolio to be able to help your clients out. So quick show of hand. I know most everybody in here is a Louisiana licensee. Is anybody Mississippi? Sweet. Dual license, I'm assuming, on both of those? Cool. That's awesome. Me too. So we want to be able to help our clients. It's our job to help our clients, right? And so wholesaling is just another tool in the toolbox. When used the right way, it empowers us to serve our clients in more ways, and build stronger communities and build stronger relationships with your clients. So I'm going to go on to the next slide. This table of contents here, we're going to cover quickly a little bit of bio about us, why this matters to agents, when it makes sense to reach out, how the process works, the sales timeline, which is really important, agent collaboration opportunities, and how to get in touch with me. So our experience, I actually should have modified this. It says we've helped over 225 sellers across South Louisiana and South Mississippi sell their problem properties or get out of problem situations. Actually, we're tomorrow, I think, going to close our 250th. So I need to update my slide. We do this by utilizing our vast network of cash buying investors who are actively seeking to purchase distressed property. In addition to the investors, we also have a network of title companies that we work with, Areno being one of our primary. We work with lenders from all over. We have a very vast network of people that we use to deliver these services. So why it matters to you, to agents? Not every seller fits the traditional listing model, right? So we've all had properties that we kind of wish we didn't have to list, but we have a client wants to list it, maybe it's a repeat client, whatever, but we want to be able to help that client, so we're gonna list it anyway, typically, even if it doesn't make sense. So I want to try to kind of see if we can have other options here. Some properties have major repairs, problem tenants, or financial distress. So quick show of hands, who's had a listing client who's had like tenants that they are just tired of managing, a tired landlord? Anybody? Yeah? Okay, I got a few. I think that probably happens more on the South Shore too. But yeah, problem tenants, financial distress. Wholesaling gives you another option when a listing isn't realistic. And it helps you serve more clients and say yes more often than having to turn away business. It turns dead leads into closed deals and strengthen relationships, and positions you as the agent who can solve any problem, not just the easy ones. Now, so if you have worked with other agents, I know all of you worked with other agents. A lot of agents, not all, but a lot of agents want to take just the easy ones, right? They don't want to necessarily, it's a lot of work to help the problem clients with problem properties, whatever. And a lot of times the juice doesn't feel like it's worth the squeeze because maybe the property's not even really worth that much and you're going to have to do a whole lot more to extract value for that property. You have to offer more value to extract less value. It's just not the ideal situation. And so this is where we can help y'all out. So when it makes sense to come to us, these are the types of sellers we serve. We get a lot of inherited property. We get a lot of people who live out of state, or maybe they inherit a property when someone passes away. Maybe they even live locally and they just don't want to manage it. And so we get a lot like this. So this one in this top left circle is an inherited property that also was in disrepair, that was in Holly Grove. So that's like the trifecta of like nobody wants that, right? So somebody wanted that. We actually helped move it. So divorce is another one. We get a fair amount of that. Avoiding foreclosure is huge. We get a lot of people, especially as the economy shifts, where people can no longer afford the houses they have. They don't want to lose all their equity. They can't keep up with the payments. We have options for that. So. Damaged property, lots and lots of that. Hurricanes, salt water in the air, not friendly to property. So we get a lot of disrepair. Relocation, people that need to move quickly for a job or something that's calling them to move away. Maybe they just are tired of living here because they're tired of paying high insurance, whatever the case. Relocation. Tired landlords, again, we get a lot of that on the South Shore. We don't get quite as many up here, but we get a lot on the South Shore. Somebody who's basically, I actually bought this one right here because the landlord had owned the property for like 15 years and the tenants were like literally locking him out, changing locks. He couldn't get in to do inspection. When I actually bought it without setting foot in the right side unit. The guy would not let anybody in. No one had keys, so I bought it, and then we had a very firm conversation about how I was not going to be like the last landlord. I was going to get in the property. And when I got in, he had cut holes in the walls and all kind of stuff. So like this is exactly what people get tired of dealing with, right? And so we offer solutions there. Hoarder houses, the ones that like nobody wants because you have to empty them out, and sometimes they cost $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 just in dumpster fees to get rid of all that stuff. No one wants to do it. No one wants to do all that work, empty it out, then get ready for listing photos and hope that it sells, right? So like we help those situations. If we buy a hoarder house or we wholesale a hoarder house, your client has to do nothing. They can leave every last thing in there. And I actually kind of like going through it. So it can be fun. Y'all are gonna laugh at me a little bit on some of this stuff, but like the stuff that makes a lot of people cringe with property, I get excited about. If you ever follow me on Instagram, you'll see me walking through like the worst places on earth with a grin on my face because I enjoy what I do. Big life changes, or just looking for a quick sale, right? So we've got all the stuff up here. We've got a house that the back end fell off of. We actually sold that we wholesaled that to a friend of mine who does historic properties in the Bywater, and they just finished that one this week, and it looks amazing. So we're gonna do a little interview with him a year later to see how that property turned out. We sold this one. I bought the white one up there. I bought this one, and we sold that one. So these are all like situations that we were able to help out with, right? So our key solutions, first and foremost, what sets us apart. So actually, let me ask another question. How many people in here, and don't be shy, have a negative, or maybe previously had a negative association with real estate wholesalers? Just one? Everybody else is just afraid to raise their hand because I'm standing up here. There's a lot of bad actors in this space. We have done a very good job at dominating the space and being good actors. And I think one of the main things that helps us with that is first and foremost, we are actual cash buyers. I look at every property that comes through, every lead that comes through, I look at it as something that I might buy, right? First and foremost, would I buy this house? If I would, what would I do to it? What would it be the exit strategy, and how much would I pay for it, right? So if we like the deal enough, we will purchase it ourselves, often as little as 3 weeks, maybe even less. So for my Mississippi licensees in here, I am personally looking for as many flip properties in Mississippi as I can get my hands on right now. So if you have any that fit some of these models, maybe there's some distress, there's some value add situation, whatever the case. In Mississippi, I'm on a pretty ambitious personal acquisition mode right now. So if you got something, bring it to me. Very good chance I'll buy it. And when we do that, 2 to 3 weeks typically. If we don't buy it, of course, like we can't buy every property we see, right? So we see hundreds, like literal hundreds a month. So when we look at a deal that doesn't work for us, we lean on our investor network of over 3,000 buyers, and that is 3 with 3 zeros, not 300. We have 3,000 buyers in our investor network. And we spend a lot of time and resources cultivating that buyers list, because if you have a problem property but you don't have an end solution, then what are you really, what kind of value you're bringing? So we spend a lot of time nurturing that network, making sure they're happy, making sure they're healthy, and making sure we bring on more and more to be able to service. So we lean on that network to buy the properties that we don't buy ourselves. Whoops again, let's see. All right. And then in some cases, the seller does not have enough equity in the property for a cash offer to work. In this case, we have other creative options that may offer solutions to their problems as well. Like, for instance, Jared spoke about purchasing property subject to the existing mortgage. Basically, in that situation, if there's some equity, but not enough equity to make a cash deal work, we can take over the mortgage payment for the seller client and just I almost said assume, but I don't want to say assume because there's a very big difference in assumption. So we just take over the mortgage payments, and we don't wholesale those transactions. That would be something we would do in-house. It would be either Steve, who I work with, or myself for a personal acquisition. We don't wholesale subject to properties because that is very risky to your end client. I actually, just to touch on a point Jared had before about subject to, if you get those out-of-town numbers calling you about the property, run, because they are scammy. I had one about a year ago that was brought to me, and the seller actually sold subject to this guy. He was going to try to do a flip with it, and then he couldn't get the work done that he needed, so he abandoned it, and the original seller got foreclosed on. So we don't wholesale those because I'm not going to take your seller's risk and assign that to someone else. I'm not doing that. So we will. Thank you. So if they do fit that more creative model, that's going to be something we'll be doing ourselves. So to Jared's point again, you can find me and harass me if for some reason I stopped paying, but I wouldn't. Our sales process timeline, this is like the fun part, right? So our sales process is quick and easy. One of my favorite things about this is how simple we make this. From the time we first look at a property to the time we close averages around 3 weeks, almost never takes more than 4 weeks. So the way that works is we review the property details. So in most cases, we can get the information we need from an active listing or a former listing if the listing has expired. We may have a few more questions for you or your client, at which point we would reach out to you to get. They typically don't take more than 10 minutes for us to get the information we need. We make an offer same day in most cases. We'll send it to you to present to your seller. If it's accepted, we will begin the due diligence process, and we will need access to the property. During due diligence, we come look at the property, determine whether we plan to buy it ourselves or to wholesale it, and then we close. Regardless of what direction we decide to go, we typically take 3 to 4 weeks, and the seller gets to walk away from their burdened property with cash in hand, and you get paid, right? So there's not like tons and tons of addendums, there's not tons and tons of extra paperwork. This is a very, very simple process. We keep it that way on purpose. And kind of going back to, I'll include it here. So what we do is we build systems to be able to help these types of clients. And if we uncover some type of nuance that needs to be addressed that we think can help other people, we incorporate that. And so like if your client needs dumpster services, if your client needs moving services, if your client needs a succession, we have all of that, and most 99% of the time your client doesn't pay anything up front. So if they don't have the money for movers, we will pay for the movers, and then when we close, if we close like with Jared, the title company will then take part of the seller's proceeds to repay the moving company or to pay for the succession work, but the seller doesn't have to go into their pockets for anything. They're coming to us, we make an offer, it's seamless. If they accept the offer, we move forward with closing, and then if there's any out-of-pocket expenses, we cover them until the closing, at which point it comes out of the seller side at the closing. But they don't have to dig in their pockets for anything until then. And so, again, we've helped over 250 tomorrow sellers across South Louisiana and South Mississippi sell their problem properties, and we have a nearly perfect 5-star review on Google. So here are just like 4 of our smiling faces. This couple up here, I actually bought that property myself. That was on the West Bank of New Orleans. They were getting older, couldn't maintain the property anymore. My dad and mom had just gone through a similar situation about 6 months prior to me meeting this family. And so I actually paid a little bit more than I normally would for this one because I had a soft spot for it. But I actually ended up doing pretty well on it. They moved into an assisted living place that they love. I've gone and visited them a couple times over there in Algiers Point. And I took the property, did some light cosmetic research, and then I actually sold it on a bond for deed to someone else who is now leasing it. So tons of options. Again, that's just a creative way we were able to help this couple. The next one here was a divorce. I bought a very cool historic property in Bayou St. John of New Orleans. from this woman. She was very, very happy at the end of it too. She found out during the process that she had bought it outside of the joint ownership, so she actually got all the proceeds from that sale. So we were happy about that. She was happy about that. This one was the Holly Grove one that I spoke about earlier that they inherited. We actually sold that one, the one that was inherited, damaged, and in Holly Grove. Like how would we sell that? We did. So that's a very good question. How long did it take me to sell that? So I'm so glad you asked, because I forgot there was a fourth variable. There were 3 heirs on title. One of them was in prison. In Louisiana, solitary confinement, life in prison. So did y'all do that one? No, who did that one? Y'all did another one like that for us. We've had 2 like that recently that were nightmares. Jared had to go to prison for us for a day. But this one took 14 months to close, and we made $1,500, I think. So that's what I'm talking about. When y'all, no real estate agent would take that, and shouldn't. I wouldn't take it as a real estate agent. I would take it as either a wholesale or a cash purchase transaction. But yeah, in addition to the Holly Grove disrepair inherited, we had to get the heir in prison to sign off on it, and that was not easy. Kind of a nothing to lose situation mentality, and it was not easy. But we were able to do a partition of sale that Jared also spoke about earlier, and kind of force the sale. So lots and lots of moving parts on that one for very little return. But again, we're here to help clients. We believe that if you help the clients, the money will follow, right? And so we're offering services above all else. And then this last one, this poor guy in Baton Rouge inherited a foreclosure. His mom passed away, and she had taken a second and third mortgage against the property that he'd grown up in. He didn't know the paperwork. His brother and sister refused to sign off on it. They didn't accept. He signed, accepted, he accepted, signed on, and accepted their debt, and was just in an absolute panic. So we were able to stop the foreclosure, sell the property to another investor, and the investor in Baton Rouge then turned it and flipped it. It's beautiful. So everybody's happy. He told me he just was happy to go back and play pool and drink beer. That's all he wanted to do. And so we helped him do exactly that. Leslie, did you have a question?
Not so much a question, just something that I can offer. Recently, there was a St. Tammany Parish housing study that did focus on the governmental jurisdiction of neighbor, which is St. Tammany, Washington, and Tangipahoa Parish. And close to that study, we also had some information coming down from the state. So interesting to know. I sit at the crossroads of realtors hate wholesalers. Wholesalers don't know how to really work with realtors, and there's a disconnect at some point. There was some legislative action happening recently, but I'm here to say this. So we are 17,000 properties short over the next 3 to 5 years to fulfill a housing need on the North Shore. In addition to that, 17% of Louisiana's housing is blighted. Most times, agents are not going to work with blighted property. So how do we move those units into actual marketable housing so that agents can actually buy and sell? And the missing gap in the market is reputable wholesale investor people like you and your company. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. It's just like in real estate, we do have bad actors. But if the government comes in and eliminates what you do, that's going to hurt our population and our real estate community more negatively than anything that we've ever seen in our market before. So I'm a true advocate for this type of business.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Y'all need a lot of housing up here, for sure. I saw that same thing. And there's not as much blight on the North Shore as there is on the South Shore, obviously, but it does exist. And so if you run across those, let's help solve multiple solutions. It stimulates the economy too. One of these houses comes off the market, one of these distressed houses comes to us. We are a flipper is going to make money on it. The contractor person is going to make money on it. The title company is going to make money on it. We're removing. I think blight's a public health crisis personally, and we don't talk about that enough. But I mean, you get people living in them that don't have business living in them. They start fires in them to stay warm in the winter. They do drugs, and there's all kind of nasty things happen. So blight is a public health crisis. And so, yeah, if y'all run across these, let's clean up the neighborhoods. Let's clean up the area. Let's get a flip client for you out of it on the back end, hopefully. It's good. It's good all the way around. So, agent collaboration opportunities, kind of when to reach out to us. I talked about it a little bit, but I'm just going to go back through it again. I'm actually going to move to the next slide because I think I doubled this slide. And this one's actually more important. When to reach out to us. Your seller has a property not fit for market, right? The ones that are not pretty, that are full of junk, that nobody wants. Somebody wants them. So that's a good opportunity. Your seller has a property that needs work but does not have the time, money, or energy to fix it up. Got a lot of those, right? The people who are, I'm going to do it one of these days, and they just didn't do it for 365 days times 10 or something. I don't know. I mean, now they got more repairs than they know what to do with. They don't have time and money to do it. Your seller has a property that has been listed for a long time with no offers. We do help. In a lot of cases, we can help even if a property's like kind of okay. We do buy average conditions. We don't buy just junk. We will literally buy and or wholesale just about anything if the numbers make sense. So if they have a property that's been listed, no offers, bring it to us. We'll look. There's a solution out there. So we'll go through it, have a discussion with you, and see if we can help. Your seller has a property they don't want, like inherited or tax sale, etc. Talking about tax sales earlier, I've got a guy who is an attorney who does tax sales just to be able to make the interest that you get when you're owning the tax. He's actually had a few of them that he's ended up having to buy and didn't want them, or basically take possession of, and we were able to sell 2 of those for him. So we've got options in that case too. Your seller has a property that failed inspections but still needs to sell. We've had quite a few of those where we found during inspections they found termite damage that they didn't know was there. Now the deal fell apart. Maybe these people are trying to move. They had a contingency in place for the new purchase. They're freaking out. We've helped out in those situations. Or if your seller just needs to sell fast, if they got speed, we can do, again, 3 to 4 weeks is our typical turnaround time from start to finish. And lastly, down here, if you have an investor buyer client who's interested in very well-priced investment properties, if y'all got flippers for clients, if you got landlord investors for clients, hit me up. We'll put you on our buyer list. You then expand our vast network of buyers, so you're helping us on both sides. You can bring me deals that you want moved, but I can send you deals if you have clients that you want to. You don't have to add your client to our buyer list. You can still be the intermediary if you want. I have tons and tons of agents that do that. They'll share the deal with their client, but not necessarily the source. And I think that's perfectly fine. You're bringing value to them. You're helping to navigate that deal and probably in most cases pull comps and make sure they know that it's a solid deal. So we can work together on both sides of this. And so last but not least, do you have a seller client that can benefit from our services? Reach out to discuss more detail and no obligation offer on the property. For all the things that we do great, I'm not the strongest networker, so I left my cards in my truck. I'm going to go grab those in a few minutes, so if anybody wants to come up and talk to me, I can give you my contact info. But it's also there. That's my personal cell phone number, Jon Lester at homebuyerlouisiana.com. We service Louisiana and Mississippi. You can check out our website if you want to look for our credibility. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I put out, I think, some pretty engaging, interesting, fun stuff to walk along. You can see me run across the joist of a house with no floors in it or something. You know, so. Yes?
Maybe I missed earlier. Is it just residential or do you do commercial as well?
We occasionally will look at commercial. 99% of our bread and butter is residential. But I've got a handful of commercial people that will look at it, and I've got some commercial agents that kind of sometimes help me evaluate, but typically it's residential. So most of our business is South Louisiana, but we go all the way to Lafayette, and we've gone as far north as Alexandria. We do get an occasional Shreveport or Monroe or something like that. Those markets are a little tougher. Shreveport's actually changing because 50 Cent's all like up in the Shreveport business now, but typically it's south of I-12. But Mississippi, I'm going as far as Jackson. So the whole coast, I love the coast. Brookhaven, Macomb are great cities. I'm stopping at Jackson right now, just we don't have boots on the ground past that. But yeah, anything from about the halfway point of both states down, we'll do it. I've even sold one at Lake Charles all the way on the west end of the state. Yep. Any other questions? Cool. Well, thank y'all for having me. Appreciate it.